All right. Here we go. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is episode 2 of The Improper Critics. I am, of course, Risen Gaia, aka Adam, and here again with Derick, aka Jericho. You can always catch me on. I'm on Twitter. Don't really be on Twitter, but you can catch me on Instagram and over on Twitch, Risen Gaia. And Derek, where can I catch you at?
Just at Twitch at this point. I am creating an Instagram. The TikTok ban, that's a whole nother thing. But I think it's
It's
back
back.
now. Yeah,
It's
it's
back.
back.
Oh
It's
yeah, it's
back. It's
back.
back. So yep. Mr. Jericho is my handle pretty much everywhere.
All right, for sure. And then, like I said, been a little bit of time
It
between
has.
then and now. Kind of had to take some time to work on our format a little bit, get things a bit more concise. And over time, it's going to continue to grow and change a bit with us. And, we'll all manage that as it goes. But for now, we're working on getting things a bit more focused. So, what we're going to kind of do is get into what is going to be our primary subject. That's going to be our focus at any point in time. And then, whenever we're done getting through those, if there is extra time left for us to record here, we got a couple of bonus subjects that we're going to try to throw in there as well.
Yep.
But I think we don't want to waste too much time. So to get right into it, I think right now what we're talking about, what we want to get into is Derek. What are you currently playing? What's the current game that's keeping you occupied?
Well, I just finished what will be my game of the year, so we'll come back to that. But
Okay.
after finishing that, I took a reprieve and 100% in Nine Souls. I really enjoyed that game. But right now, I am playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I'm really enjoying that. I'm playing it on PC. It's been an enjoyable experience. My family and I just recently went through and rewatched all the movies. So that was exciting just to kind of get familiar with the source material some. But yeah, playing that, enjoying it, have a blast. I'm chipping away at the Vatican right now. There's a lot of. I'm huge into exploration, and the game really rewards exploration. Like if you go down a certain path, you're probably going to find something. Uh, Jury's still out as far as like my rating, but as of today, really enjoying it. Addition to
You
that,
said that you did the movies though.
yes, did the movies.
What'd you think? You said you did all of them. What did you think of all the movies?
I liked them. I wasn't the Indiana Jones kid. Like I was more the Lord of the Rings kind of guy. You were out there. Like for those who don't know, we're childhood friends. We've been friends since like the eighth, like since we were 8 years old. Um, and so I was out there flinging my sword around with our play sticks, and Adam was out there with his lightsaber. So I,
Yeah, that's not a euphemism. He
that's not a
actually
euphemism.
wooden sword. It was a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely not a euphemism. But yeah, so I wasn't really a big Indiana Jones fan. So rewatching it, I can kind of take it at face value. I enjoyed all of them. I think the one that I liked the least was probably the second one. Just because I feel like the whole movie was surrounding like the Temple of Doom, like which I know obviously it's called Temple of Doom, but
Yeah.
I prefer the history, the let's climb through this temple to find this treasure that sets off this trap. I like the Tomb Raider side of Indiana Jones. So I guess I should say the Indiana Jones side of the
Right.
Indiana Jones.
Right.
But I liked them all, man. There was none that I didn't like. Even the newer ones, I'm like, yeah, they're good for what they are. If I was a true Indiana Jones fan, I probably would feel a certain way, but I'm not. So I
I,
enjoyed it.
I, I was gonna say because I did grow up with Indy. And I mean, I'm because like I said, he said we met when we were really young out in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I am from and actually now again live in California, and at Disneyland they have the Indiana Jones ride, which is you're in this like big like old school Jeep and everything like that, and you ride through, and it's got like the whole thing from. I'm pretty sure it's from the original, the one
I
with the
think it
boulder and
is.
everything like
Yeah, I
that.
think it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it is like it was always my favorite ride as a kid. Love the first one, love the second one. For me, that's pretty much where it goes downhill.
That's
I
just where it
mean,
stops. Like everything's
that's
just
just,
right.
that's just decline each and every. I haven't seen the last movie, so I can't speak on it, but I've heard. And don't even get me started on Crystal Skulls. I'm not gonna go. We're not gonna get into all that. But
I
okay,
enjoyed the
so
last movie. I would recommend watching it. It's better
I'm
than
sure I
Crystal
will at
Skull.
some point. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. I'll have to check it out. And then for me, I'm gonna have to say the last game that I finished is also gonna be my game of the year. So I can't speak on that one right now. We'll keep that a little bit of surprise.
I'm
But the game that I'm
excited.
currently now playing, I have hooped myself back in to kind of bounced around stuff a little bit, but the one that I keep on loading up is Cyberpunk 2077.
When are you going to
I know
be
you haven't
done with
played
that
that one
game?
yet. I have beaten it 3 times now,
So what's
and,
the?
and then I delete it, and then I'm like, I think I want to do it again. I want to go back through it.
Well,
Like
it's
yeah,
good.
like it's really it's actually really good, and also I think I would still say, I'm playing on PS5, right? Like my vitriol against Indiana Jones and the Great Circle as I got Game Pass for it. I downloaded it, and it's like you cannot run this game. Blah blah blah. My computer is not amazing, but it runs pretty much everything else as long as I have space for it. And that was the one game that was like, you know what? No, I don't think so. So 0 out of 10 for me. Sorry, but that's the way it is. But I am playing on PS5. At least on PS5, Cyberpunk 2077 is the most gorgeous game that I have seen on there. And I've seen some great looking ones. A lot of them have like great graphics, but between like the style and the realism and everything like that, it is absolutely like the most amazing looking game that I've seen at all. But
I've
other than
heard
that,
it.
yeah, I keep on going back to that one.
I heard it looks really good on the PS5 Pro. So jury's
Oh,
out. I don't have it. So, um,
yeah, I'm not in no pro.
so you're
I'm
replaying
good. I'm living
Cyberpunk.
basic here.
Okay.
Cyberpunk.
All
Yep.
right. Respect.
And I did fire up Sonic Frontiers. I'm checking that out a little bit.
Okay.
Sonic. I haven't played a 3D Sonic since I think Dreamcast, maybe.
All right.
Like I think that's the last one that I remember playing that was 3D. But I'm in the beginning. It's fun. I'm looking forward to it. It's still Sonic, still zooming around, so that's a good time. Yeah.
I heard after a couple of updates, like, I know at launch, like a lot of people were dogging on it pretty bad, but it has a following now. Like I'm in the Sonic subreddit. A lot of the rage right now is all about the new Shadow Generations, which I have, and I haven't
I
actually
want that
started it
one.
yet.
I want that one so bad.
But I'm looking forward to starting that. I'm a huge Sonic fan, but Frontiers, I think it's an okay game. So I think that should be interesting.
I think a lot of what I've heard people say, and I'm kind of agreeing with a little bit that I played. It's like it's a good start, and hopefully it gets more because it's got a good. The bones are solid there.
Hmm.
It just needs more put into it.
Yeah.
It's kind of empty in a certain sense, but still, it's a good place to start. Not every game has to be a 10 out of 10 right out the gate. There's a number of games that they come out, and the first one is a little rough. I'm going to say it towards one of my favorite games of all time, which is the Mass Effect trilogy.
Hmm.
Even though the first one is my favorite game, it is certainly a foundation game, laying down, seeing how everything works. And then 2 is where they kind of really up everything. So, I mean, that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes.
I get
But
that.
I'm looking forward to it.
Another game that my wife and I have been really getting into is Marvel Rivals. Like, we are huge into Overwatch 2. Overwatch. We played the
Right?
beta and Overwatch 1. We're really into that. We were launch game first came out. We had pre-ordered it. We were a go. We played it all throughout its lifetime. Overwatch 2 came out. My wife was not a fan of the 5v5, but we stuck through it anyway. We have really enjoyed the recent 6v6 push. But then, a couple weeks ago, we started Marvel Rivals. We've really enjoyed that. I mean, I think it's a very polished game. I think there's obviously some balancing issues surrounding a couple of characters. But, if you don't play competitive, you just play quick play, you just play with a bunch of friends, like it's classic hero shooter fun. And really enjoy that too, for sure.
I enjoy it for what it is. I wasn't a huge Overwatch person. I did play a good bit with y'all, especially Overwatch, like the original one before
Yep.
they updated it and called it 2. But like other than that, like I played the first one a fair amount. I'm just, me, I'm at the age. I'm like, man, I like games I can kick back, chill, have a good time with. I play with y'all like competitive games because that I'm not taking it overly serious. I'm having fun with y'all, but even then I have my limits. Like
Yeah.
like Call of Duty, that game is stressful. Like
Yeah.
I'll be over here like, oh, rage out. And that's not what I'm in it for anymore.
It is,
But yeah, I
man.
mean Marvel Rivals, it's fun, it's laid back, it's chill. So
It's a solid game. Looking forward to spending more time with that for sure. For sure.
yeah,
Excited to see what they do with some of the new heroes coming out.
that I am interested in to see Not just, I will say, well, a lot of them look cool. Some of the outfits are trash.
Oh
Some
yeah,
of them,
there's just
they're
straight
not all
money
great.
grab.
Like how you fell on Wolverine, like that was the biggest one. And I was like, that's a pretty huge swing and a miss. Like it looks like what you would think Wolverine if he was like you know how back in like the '90s and stuff, whenever they had like a cartoon superhero show outside of their not like the DC and stuff like, but like remember that
It's like the Marvel at home type thing.
kind of you know how the character would always or like Power Rangers, right? You know how Power Rangers they always like the Red Ranger always had his red shirt and stuff like that, and like he always like they all dressed in a way to where anybody walking around should have been. It's kind of weird that that group of five teenagers, sometimes six, always wears the exact colors and kind of have the same stature as well, not all, not exactly, but as the Power Rangers do. Like that's kind of what it looks like Wolverine's outfit is. It looks like what if he was in a lame '90s show, then he would no hit on Power Rangers, love it to death. But it is what it is. But it looks like he would what he would wear like when he's hanging around the house. I don't know. But
It's different.
anyways, I mean, still, still fun, still fun. But with that, why don't we go ahead and that's what we're playing. That's what we've been up to. Now, looking back a little bit, right? Like I said, we're coming in here a little bit later than we had hoped to, but at the same time, we want to get them out there. We want to make sure that we go over some of these, some of those games from 2024 that stuck with us that we really enjoyed and everything like that. Now, for me, I'm a bit of a different type. I don't. I play a lot of old games. I'm literally playing Knights of the Old Republic 2 right now, and I think like Bioshock. I don't know. I have a bunch of like older games downloaded that I just bounce between half the time. But so I play a lot of older games. I only get new stuff when it catches my attention like really hard, or when the price of entry is so simple that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I
Like
get that.
so a couple of mine in there are in there more because it's all I really played this year as far as new stuff. So take those first couple of them with a grain of salt. But with that, why don't we go ahead and jump right to it? This is the Improper Critics, both of us separately now. We each have our own list.
Separate list.
Top five games of 2024. Derick, why don't you kick us off with your number five there? What are we looking at?
All right. My number five. It's an unusual pick, and I must admit, I really went back and forth on this one because I highly doubt this game is in anybody else's probably top 10 lists, but it barely made the top five for me. And that game, Adam, is TCG Card Shop Simulator. I loved it, man. I couldn't get enough. I had so this game is, if you, for those that don't know, it is a simulation game. You open a shop, and it's not just any shop. It is a TCG game shop, and so you have think about like selling Pokemon cards in a shop. But I just loved that game. I had almost 200 hours in it when I finally put it down. I got all the achievements on Steam. I have had two shops that I was running at one point. It was, I felt like the developer said, "Hey, what is the game we can build for Derick, and let's just build that game," because that's literally what it consumed my life. I was,
Oh, I
but
know. We be sitting here plenty of times in the chat and everything, and there's his little name right there in the Discord. TCG.
I love
And we
it.
be on age streaming sometimes, and you see he had it all decked out. And I'm like, man,
I
I
just,
did the demo, and
you
I was
know,
like, I would play more,
it's just
but I didn't pay for it.
mad props for the developers because every time I felt like I was starting to hit like a stagnant, they would push an update that did something new. Like they had where you could then sell like tabletop games, and then they had where you could actually, customers could come and trade cards with you. So I'm really, at this point, and then once I hit about 120 hours, I found the Pokemon mod, which turns everything in the game into like Pokemon. So now you're selling Pokemon plushies. But I just really enjoyed it. Like there's a lot of heart in that little game. Highly, highly worth the investment if you're into anything of that nature. But that is my top five. That is my controversial pick. I'm pretty ecstatic about the remainder of the list. But Adam, what is your number
So,
five?
not to be outdone, I have something that I am quite certain is far more ridiculous than your pick. not only is this one not going to be in anybody else's top 10, it's not going to be in their top 20, I'm sure,
All right.
but it should be. It should be. This game in particular is called Squirrel
Oh my
with a
god.
Gun.
I knew where that was coming from. That is
Oh yeah.
definitely in
Oh
some
yeah.
people's top games.
This game had no right being as ridiculously fun as it was. I enjoyed it. It was silly, it's stupid, but the puzzles are interesting enough and varied enough and everything like that. And not to mention, it's short enough that the novelty of the fact that you are a squirrel with a gun. And it's not just guns, you get other kinds of stuff. You can get like little drone to fly on. That's like one of the way later things and stuff like that. You can go in as you're playing, you find like different, fur colors, and each one might give you a different ability. One's like, resistant to electricity, different hats, different clothes, a lot of stuff to unlock in there that I would found myself like, so I'd be like, oh, I'd see that, and I want to unlock it.
Love it.
The gameplay is solid. It's not too like finicky as some games when you're playing an animal and you're doing like wall crawling and stuff like that. They get really kind of, you try to go left and you kind of goes diagonal in some kind of way. Didn't have that problem there. Like it was solid. So yeah, I mean, against all odds, I'm gonna put out there and I'm going to say my number
Squirrel with a
five for
gun.
2024 is Squirrel with a Gun, and it's a cheap pick too.
Yeah,
It's an
the
easy entry, and if you have kids, it's a fun one to play with your kids too.
well, I will say at this point, any viewer is like, I'm done with these people. Like this is their this is how they start their top five
This is
twenty twenty
clownish
four.
stuff. By this is what
Yeah,
they
they're
do.
this group is not for us. But hopefully we can rein them back in with the
But if you agree
subsequent.
on those ones, then you found the right place because we are your type.
Yeah, seriously, seriously.
All right, so from there, let's keep on pushing forward with it. All right, we got a couple of silly ones out there, and I fear that may not be the end of them. But going forward, Derek, what is your number 4 pick for 2024?
This was hard, I'll admit, but it's got to go to Hades 2. So I loved Hades. One of my favorite games when it came out. I 100%ed it on PlayStation when it finally came to PlayStation. Got the platinum on PlayStation. Picked it up on Xbox. Got all the achievement on Xbox, and then eventually picked it up on Steam and got all the achievements using my Steam Deck. The gameplay is amazing on the Steam Deck. So naturally, when Hades 2 came out, I'm like, yeah, I'm buying that. I understand it is not fully out, right? It's still in the early access, but it is so well polished. It set the bar because at the beginning of the year we had a lot of games coming out early access. Hades 2 came out early access, set the bar that this game could release as its early access state and be a full-fledged game. But since then, they've pushed improvement after improvement. I really enjoy the characters. I really enjoy the combat. I really obviously enjoy the roguelike aspects of Hades and just the story. When they announced Hades 2, I was like, how are they going to continue the story, right? Because Hades 1 was so well polished. Like, it had a start, it had an end. Spoiler alert, you escaped hell, you fought your father, you made it out, and there's, some progression there. And, the story at the very end, like the true ending, it was just a well done story. So in my mind, I'm thinking, how in the world are they going to do a Hades 2? But fortunately, I'm not going to spoil anything for those who haven't played Hades 2. But they did. They came out with a sequel. It's super polished. If you love Hades 1, Hades 2 is an absolute must-buy. No exceptions. And that is why it easily slid into my top 5, coming in at number 4. Adam, what is your number 4?
Number 4 for me is this is really more a placement as much out of respect as like enjoyment of the game, right? Because there are a lot of like properties out there and kind of, if I want to say genres, but kind of subgenres, whatever, little details about a particular kind of brands of game that most people don't really touch much, and when they do, they especially don't take it further beyond that initial thing that they're somewhat, I wouldn't say imitating, but kind of inspired by, at least to some degree. And that's why for me at number 4, Power World.
I
Now,
like it. Well picked.
Power World's
It
a lot
almost
of fun
made
when
the
it came
list for
out.
me, but yeah, okay, all
Yeah,
right.
when it came out, we had a lot of fun with it. We tore through that game. I haven't really played it since it came out. I don't think I do have it on PC. I've been wanting a little bit every now and then. I want to get back and jump back into it. But I mean, it was at the very least because I grew up with Pokemon. I kind of got out of it, after first gen. If it's a Pokemon beyond first gen, I don't know. For me, there was 151. That's it. All right. There was no all these extras that, oh, we forgot that there's like 300 other one of them over there on the other side of that water right there. Like that. But that's besides the point. The point is the thing that always kept me from like continuing the games, because I still enjoyed the games up to a certain point, even beyond like the bigger Pokemon world. The games were still fun, but it was the inability to innovate.
Yeah.
And even when they finally did, from what I understand, it was all very janky. They didn't really put a lot of polish or a lot of, anything beyond the most basic concept of innovation there as far as bringing it into like that 3D realm. And Power World did that. It said, you know what? What if we took these cute battling animals, put them in a world where you can run around, actually play with them, and be much more physical about it and stuff like that? Oh, you know what? Let's add one more thing onto it. Let's give them freaking guns. That's right up my alley. That's saying, you know what? Let's just have fun. And I miss when games were kind of silly like that, right? When we were younger, remember we had like Conquer and all that kind of stuff. Not Conquer, like Command and Conquer, Conquers,
Conquers, yeah.
Conquer's Adventures, whatever that game was called. Like we had games used to be silly. Banjo Kazooie comes to mind, like, and I feel like a lot of that is missed these days, except for like a few exceptions here or there. And it's a to be such a big game and be kind of as out there and silly as it can be. I enjoyed it, and I had to give it its respects. So for me, number four, Power World.
I think that's a wonderful pick. I love Power World. We had a friend that hosted our server, and so we had a private server. There was like 6 of us that were playing, and I poured way too many hours into that game. Like I was another really bad addiction for me this year, but I loved it. Another game that I 100%ed on Steam. They made a lot of updates. They just posted not too long ago their roadmap for the future, and it's exciting stuff. I'm excited to see that team has found its footing. They sort of overcome the Nintendo lawsuit, and they're chipping away, making the best game they
That
can.
that thing is so. You know what? Nintendo with all that kind of stuff. Those are kind of things that just sour me towards Nintendo. It doesn't make me feel any kind of change my thoughts about the ones they go after. It just makes me like, ugh, ugh, brother, ugh, Nintendo, like, get
Yeah,
out of here, bro.
I get it. That's probably a conversation for another day, but I completely
Yeah,
agree. Like, I've seen so many streamers or content creators who got like attacked by Nintendo and the lawyers come after them, or they
crazy.
take their videos down because it may have a woohoo from Mario. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Our
there we
video
go.
just
We're
got
done.
taken down. We're
We're
done. We're
done.
done. We
We're
just
done.
end it
That's
here.
it.
Yep.
Yeah, so you got to go back and bleep that like we're cursing or something.
Yeah, seriously. But it's ridiculous. But that's a great pick. I'll give you a thumbs up on that one.
I'll take it. All right, so number three, back over with you. What's it gonna be?
The only one, Helldivers 2. I loved it. It was a great game. We all enjoyed
All
it.
right.
I really enjoyed the combat. I think Helldivers 2, it kind of came out like nobody was expecting it to be as big as it was. I played the original Helldivers, but that was back,
I did too. I still have it on PS Vita, and I still enjoyed the original one. The coding, the way they have the activating stuff,
Yep.
to me was always like a brilliant way to add some of that, like,
OG
old school kind
Konami.
of. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. No,
Yes.
loved it. So when Helldivers 2 came out, I knew it was going to be good. I did not expect it to take the world by storm. Unfortunately, the developers, I think
Mm,
they learned their lesson, but let's be honest, like they got a little bit too big for their britches, and they were listening to the select few, and they started nerfing stuff. And in a game that's all about PvE, like you shouldn't nerf, like you should buff. Like if
But were they listening to someone? Because it always felt to me like everyone else was saying, "Hey," like, it felt less like they were listening to a select group and more they were just going against everybody. Because when your people say, "Hey, this game's a lot of fun. We love using this weapon. I wish this one over here was, I like this one more, but this one's a strong one. I wish this one was better." And they say, "Oh, well, then we'll nerf that, make that one as bad as that one." Like that feels like maybe misinterpreting what they're saying, but
Possibly,
I'm more closer
possibly.
to just like ignoring, just be like, no, you're playing it. Like it felt like they were telling us you're playing it wrong. You're
Yeah,
doing it wrong. Stop
yeah.
having fun like that. Like,
I agree. I agree with that.
so
I'm not sure who they were listening to, but they were listening to the wrong people. We can put it like that.
yeah,
And
for
so they
sure.
made some changes, and a lot of people just kind of stepped away. But I went back recently. I enjoyed the third enemy type. Um, Overall, I think it's a great game. I think it's the perfect game to play with friends. I think that it looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's wonderful graphics. I still love the Konami codes, calling in, reinforcements or whatever that may be. It was just
Yep.
overall a great game. Highly recommend it. Helldivers 2, easily top five. And that's why it came in my number three. What about you, Adam? What's
I'll,
your number
gi-
three?
I'll give you respect for Helldivers again. And I was super stoked for it because I played a lot of the first one. When I saw that it was going to third person like that, I was sold immediately when they showed it. So yeah, definitely. But for me, number three is surprisingly, I'm realizing I'm having a lot of indie games in here. And you know me, I'm not normally an
There's
indie
nothing wrong with
like
that.
game player, but this year, a lot of my bigger games that I like really stuck out to me were indie.
I know what
And
this
this
is.
one, like, came out of nowhere. Was not expecting. This was on PS Plus, and I downloaded it just because, like, oh, this is like something I can kind of play in between things, and I became obsessed. And that is my number three, Animal Well.
Of course.
That game
Well played.
was
Good
like,
pick.
I mean, some games just speak to you like on a different level, right? I do like combat. Like I said, I don't like super hard competitive, all that kind of stuff, but I do like challenging combat. But this wasn't that. It was just like it was very serene. Is really the best way I can put it. Even like some of the crazier moments and stuff like that, the dog and all that that chases you, like it was all just very like artful. Seems like kind of a almost pretentious way to put it, but I mean, that's kind of what it was. It was all just kind of like it was a very beautiful game in a weird kind of way, and not in a way that felt like it was trying to be beautiful. It just was being itself. The puzzles were, not too hard, but were challenging. And there was always another layer to solve there. When you solve one thing up, it open. I don't know. It was just it just really stuck with me, and I got in that game so hard there for a minute. When I finished it, that was one that I was like, man, loved it. Perfect. So good. I can't. If they make an Animal Well 2, I don't see how it can even live up to that same caliber this one did because it seems like such a hard thing to kind of like replicate in that sense. But if they do it, I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah, I think that's a
Uh,
wonderful pick. Yeah, I just to kind of echo what you said. I feel like the puzzles were awesome. Like you would unlock a thing, and you would think in your mind, okay, I can use it for this one thing, but you don't realize you can use it for three other things. It's just really genius how the development team kind of came together and just made so many tools multi-use. I think it was for those of us that played Celeste, it reminded me a lot of Celeste, but it wasn't quite as difficult. It wasn't as difficult as Celeste at all, but it still gave you that endorphins whenever you completed a level. You're like, heck yeah, it's just a great
yeah,
game
it wasn't about the difficulty, but it still made you feel like accomplished when you found that way forward that you've
for
been
sure.
kind of like you bump up against a wall and then all of a sudden, oh wait, no, here's the crack. And then I don't know, yeah, it was great.
Great
But
pick.
all right, so
Getting down to the
keeping the
nitty
momentum
gritty
here,
now.
down to number two here, right? We're going to the big one. So, who is the runner up for your game of the year? What is your number two for 2024?
Yeah, give me a drum roll. No, I'm just kidding. Number two.
That's for the winner, though. That's for number one.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about the next four games. I don't. Well, I'm pretty sure I know. I know you well enough to where I know the next two for you. My number two, Balatro. It's a perfect game. I mean, I loved it. It was the game that like anytime we were driving somewhere because we went to Texas quite a bit this year. For those who don't know, I live in Georgia. My oldest daughter is in Texas, and so we went and visited her multiple times this year. And Balatro is what made that drive so much more enjoyable. It is exactly what it sets out to be. It is a roguelike poker game. And if you love poker, or even if you love roguelites, or even if you don't know anything about poker, it is an amazing game. It's really fun. It's very rewarding. When you complete a blind, you just move on to the next one. It's just, there's nothing I didn't like about the game. And that is very rare, especially considering this game, Adam, if you don't know, was made by one guy, a single guy made this game, published the
I
game.
did hear that. That's. I mean, to be fair, one guy essentially made Minecraft.
Too big. Yeah, you are correct.
So
And
it's not quite that,
if this
but
was
with
early
all respect,
2000s, that would be in my top five. But yeah, no, love Balatro. Like I said, I wish. Yeah, I don't know if you haven't played it or not. It's usually, I think it's 20 bucks.
not yet. I heard a lot about it. I know some places. I mean, it was freaking one game of the year in some
It
places
did,
like
and
that.
it was well
Which
deserved. It was well
yeah,
deserved, and it's available on everything now. Like you can, it's on your phone. You can download it on your phone. It's on all the consoles. I'm pretty sure it's on Switch. I don't know about Switch, but I know for sure on Xbox and PlayStation, and of course on Steam. But yep, love the game. Highly recommend it. What about you, Adam? What is your number two?
my number two kind of bumps heads up against one of yours.
Yeah, I
Matter of
knew where
fact,
this
if
was.
I didn't have this game, it would have been one of your previous picks here. But for me, number two is a beautiful tribute to the days of Xbox 360 and PS3 when games said, "Hey, you want to be just freaking awesome and murder things in the most savage way possible?" And I'm, of course, referring to Warhammer 40K Space Marines 2.
Of course.
That game was freaking action, just all kinds of the purest, most beautiful forms of insane violence that you could unleash on just waves and waves of enemies. And of course, I mean, people know I know it's from the same dev who did World War Z, that game, which played a little bit, wasn't huge on, but
It was a
that
great game.
horde stuff they got going on there, insane, insane. Loved it. Playing with friends brings to a whole new level. Again, that focus on cooperative that enough games just don't do anymore. The ones that do it as like the straight up live service stuff. The best exceptions to that rule that I've seen right there go straight to Helldivers 2 and to Space Marines 2. Now, it really was it'd be much more of a toss up for me if not for kind of where Helldivers 2 went after release and everything like that,
Yeah.
the nerfs and all that kind of stuff that kind of pushed me away. But Space Marines 2, it was not afraid to let you feel just insanely powerful, to be an absolute just train wreck of a monster out there. And I love that. I miss games that were like that let you indulge in that power fantasy without trying to pump the brakes on you, especially with those kind of live service games where you want to pump your brakes. Say, oh, we need to pay for this to get a little bit, get that feeling back. And that was right there the whole time. Loved it. Great characters. The community, aside from like the most minor, like little bubbles of like just toxic people and stuff like that, the community was really awesome. It brought me kind of into the Warhammer 40K community where I was checking out online, people doing the lore stuff on it and the different groups and all the crazy stuff. And honestly, it's taken everything in me not to start buying the freaking building my own army and start painting that out there. It
It's
feeds my
coming.
inner nerd.
Yeah.
So yes,
I think it's a
easily.
wonderful pick. Wonderful pick. Like we had a good time with it. I really enjoyed the different classes. The game looked great. Unfortunately, when it first came out, there was a lot of issues with my graphics card, and the game kept crashing. And so I had to, overcome that frustration. Eventually, they published a new driver, which was made specifically for Space Marine 2, and I never had any other problems. But those initial couple of weeks of just constant crashing. It took a toll, and so it immediately ruined some of my enjoyment of the game, and that's probably why. Because I went back and forth, Helldivers 2 or Space Marine 2, like they're both set out to do exactly what they wanted to do, but just because of how well Helldivers 2 was on the performance side of things, and just I just enjoyed the combat more. I always felt like with Helldivers 2, like with Space Marine 2, if you made a mistake, it was very unforgiving. Like you would die really, really quick. And I think that's
Oh
one
yeah.
of the things about the Helldivers, like where it wasn't the case. Like, I got the same amount of joy, but there was less frustration with Helldivers 2 is kind of how I feel. But I think that's a wonderful pick. I'm glad we got to play some of the PvP because that really took me back to like the Gears of War days back in the Xbox 360. It was
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
It was fun.
Very much so. PvP was I haven't played it since we had played together, so I do want kind of want to go back at some point and see what changes or anything that makes the progression on there was really bad.
Mhm.
But for me, it really was the co-op, the operations. I had to remember what they were called again. The operations that, as a matter of fact, there's a new one on there that I haven't played yet.
I
I need to
heard.
reinstall it and go check that out. But yeah, who knows? Maybe at some point, maybe we'll be able to, once we start getting to streaming and stuff, do some of that stuff together. But yeah, that's definitely mine. Now,
Moment of truth.
2024, moment of truth. What is your number one pick for 2024?
Game of the year.
Game of
Derek's
the year.
game of the year. Hands down, without a doubt. Metaphor Refantasio. Ah, ooh. The game was amazing. I loved it. It's for so just to give our viewers a little bit of feedback. I never played a Persona game. It just never was. It just never aligned with me. Not as far as like
I
the
have.
game, but I just there was always another game I was playing, and I knew it was like a massive endeavor. I'm like, oh, it's 100 hours. I have all these other games I'm playing, so it just never worked with my time schedule. But this year I got Metaphor Refantasio. Absolutely loved every minute of that game. I think I ended up putting in 140 hours into it. I got once again, all the achievements on that game, and I just loved it. Like I love the combat system. They did a lot of things right. Really, I have nothing to complain about. Like the combat system, I love the classes. Like it brings me back to some of those older Final Fantasy games where if I want Adam to be a knight or a cleric, I can select his class. And that's great because I immediately fell in love with some of these characters in this game and I wanted them in my
Yeah.
party, but I didn't want to feel restricted on what asset they could be to my party. Like
Yeah,
Stroll,
mess up that party makeup and everything.
for
So
sure, for sure. Like
uh,
like Stroll, he was my boy throughout the entire game. He's the first party member, and he stayed by my side the entire game. Just loved him. Like all the main characters had such a really compelling backstory. There was really none that I was like, this is terrible. Like all of them just tugged at my heartstrings in certain ways. Especially Heismay. He is. I don't know if you've seen any of the promotional material or any of the gameplay, but he's like the bat. He's like a bat figure, right? And his backstory is involving his son, and so every time he talked about it, I just kind of put myself in his shoes with mine and my son's relationship and how I would be feeling if I went through the same thing he's did. And the game was it was flawless execution. The storyline overall was great. The story, like every time I thought I knew what was going on, I found out really quickly that the writers were way smarter than I was, and they threw me for a loop. I just loved every minute of it. Highly recommend it. Hands down, game of the year 2024, no contest. Metaphor Refantasio, A plus plus. What
all
about you?
right, well, I'm gonna throw out there the contest. You said no contest. There's some competition out there,
No contest
and
on PC.
I think. Oh well, well. I guess then we got to reevaluate 2025 because I'm pretty sure this one is making its way over to your precious PC. So, and I just recently finished one. I mean, literally yesterday, put the final nail in it. My top pick for 2024, number one spot, goes hands down to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh my god, dude, this game. Now,
Tell me more. What'd you love
if
about
there
it?
was well, I mean, for one, this game is basically if you were to make like just in the same way that Baldur's Gate 3 is the best interpretation of like the tabletop game of D&D, if you were to make a action RPG D&D game, it would have to follow this format because everything from having an amazing story that goes through great characters, lots of side quests that sometimes tie into the main thing, oftentimes don't, sometimes are serious, sometimes are kind of kooky, like and these massive environments to explore. The whole game, the combat is solid, there's lots of variation there. The party makeup now this is where I messed up. I didn't realize this. This is me kind of skipping through menus or tutorial pages popping up, and me skipping over things. I thought there were three preset like groups teams. You know, like it's you and other two other characters in any given combat, and you could switch those out. And I thought it was three preset. I didn't find out until literally about 100, about 95 hours in that you can go in and they're not presets. You make the presets. So I could have changed the teams as I saw fit, but I didn't know that.
Oh
But again,
gosh.
that's why you read stuff sometimes. But anyway, that's beyond the point. The point being, the game itself, from just being, I mean, it's like it's as much as it felt like the remake was just an advancement of the original game. This is as much an advancement of that, because while that one was very concise, kind of had its short story to get you through right within the early sections of the original, right there in Midgard and everything like that. This says, okay, we've gotten that part out the way. Now let's just build a railroad track that goes through this whole section of the world. You see, I mean, at some point I was like, okay, this has to be the last area. I'm in chapter 10 and I'm like, oh, here's another one. And literally, you get basically about a new area, a new pretty big area to explore and do stuff in, basically every chapter through like 10 or 11. And I'm just like, man, no wonder this games take forever. No wonder originally they said they wanted to break this up. They
To
wanted to
three.
break these up into like seven different
Yeah.
games, which would
Yeah.
have been way too much. But man, this game right here, if you like action RPGs with a amazing story, a lot of emotion there, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of, like I said, kind of wonky, not wonky, kind of kooky stuff going on, then this is a game for you. I mean, if you are a person who likes those and also love the original Final Fantasy VII, then you haven't played these, and I'm looking at you here, Derek, because I know Derek. We're not gonna get on him with Final Fantasy VII, the original, because most of you probably know, because you probably did it yourselves. This
Hundreds of
game,
hours in Final Fantasy VII, the original.
man, by the end of it, I'm sitting here like, oh, like bro, I felt like I needed a cigarette, like I just had prom night or something. Like it was
That good.
intense. You get
Okay.
to that last stretch there is like you get to one point and it's like, oh, well, I hope that you have nothing else going on, because here's about 2 hours of gameplay that you pretty much have to just drill straight through. My wife was sitting there the whole time waiting to watch a movie, and I'm like, I think it's almost over, and I don't know. I'm
I
just,
hate when that happens.
like,
I hate when that happens.
it's crazy.
Man. So, did it ever overstay its welcome?
So I will say this: it can become a bit of a slog around, like, I would say by like chapter 10.
Okay.
And if that's the right one that I'm thinking of, there's a certain area you get to where like kind of the stuff you're dealing with there through like maybe 11 or so. There's like this little gap in there where by that point you've done so much. And keep in mind that I was trying to do every single thing. So if you're not quite the completionist that I try to be, now I didn't do everything by the end, because at some point I was like, all right, I just need to finish this game.
Right.
So I kind of, there's like two or three things in the whole world that I didn't do and push through. But it does hit a little bit of a slog there at some point, just because there's just so much of it. And it's not as if any of it's bad, right? It's not a slog like, oh, I'm tired of doing these things. It's just, man, like I want to finish the game, right? I want to go forward, and you kind of feel like you're spinning around a little bit trying to do some of these activities. But even then, once you get past that little bump there and it gets back into like, once you kind of get past a little bit and get back into the main quests and stuff, then it's really just from there forward, it's just insanity
I
all
can't
around.
wait.
Again, yeah, I can't say nothing too much because I don't want to give you any kind of spoilers, because again, this is not like a one for one retelling of Final Fantasy VII. This is a bit of a change. I can't. Some things I'm still a little confused about, so I'm gonna be on all kinds of things looking up. Explain this to me, yada yada yada, like I'm stupid. But yeah, it's definitely intense. And if you like those kind of games, and if you like Final Fantasy, this is one that cannot be missed.
I'm looking forward to it. It comes out this year. So, I'm sorry, it comes out this month to PC. So,
Nice,
Looking
nice.
forward to it. Plan on starting Remake as soon as I'm done with Indie and moving right into Rebirth as soon as it comes out. So I'm
Oh,
super
you will.
excited.
What
Yeah.
if you play? Yeah, once you play remake, you're gonna be like, okay. I need more because I played remake a couple of times. This one, I was just excited to delete it off my thing just because I it's been taking up like 150 gigs on there for I can't even know 122 hours is when I finished that. So a long time because I
That's a
don't get to
long time
play long spans all the time. But
for sure.
yeah, so it's great though. But all right, so there it
That's
is.
it.
That is
I
our
think it's a
top
good
five.
list.
I think it's
I
pretty
think it's a
solid, right?
good list for
We got
sure.
some mixed up ones in there. It's not going to be your standard everyday one, but I think they're two solid lists.
There are
I
some
think one is more
honorable.
solid than the other, but you know
Yeah, I
that's
agree. I agree.
neither
Mine's
here nor
definitely
there.
better than yours, but I think the viewers would agree.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of honorable mentions. I think we probably need to talk about that. Like Astrobot, neither one of us played it. I don't have a PlayStation 5, and I don't think you picked it up, but I heard a really good things
Well,
about
great
that.
things. I
Yep,
want to play it.
I want to play it
Like I've
too,
always
and
enjoyed
if
the
it comes to
Astrobot
PC,
games.
I'm
I always
picking it
thought they
up.
were great samples,
Yep.
but
I
it
love
wasn't
the
something I was going
demo.
to spend $70 on.
When I had a PS5, I loved the demo that came with it. I really enjoyed that game. But that was about the time that I sold my PS5 and went fully into PC gaming. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to when it hopefully comes to PC. But yeah, that should probably be somewhere on our list, but neither one of us played it. So there you go. Moving on. Next
All right,
topic.
but so that is best of 2024 according to the Improper Critics. And if you are enjoying that so far, please make sure to like, subscribe, maybe even comment down below. Let us know what you agree with, what you disagree with, or maybe what your top games for the years were. And then from there, go ahead and push on. Now we're going to get into our most anticipated games of
Whew.
2025.
I'm really excited
And
about
these are
this
the
topic.
games that we are, you know, looking forward to. Can't wait for them. Some of them are very close, but
I can't wait. Let's just do it.
that
Let's just get into it, man.
let's get into it. I think you kicked off the last one, so I'm gonna kick this one off with my number 5 here, which is going to be Split Fiction.
Oh man. Okay. All right. All right.
Oh yeah. I'm putting it right there at the top because I played some of their previous games in bits and pieces. I didn't get to play all the way through because unfortunately didn't really have anybody else to play with at the time and shit like that. So, but this one, the mixture of the sci-fi and the mixture of the fantasy, two things that I love. Now you're more of a fantasy guy. I am a bit more of a, despite being a dungeon master and big into D&D and all that, I am at my core more of a sci-fi guy. So seeing those two worlds kind of collide and use it off each other and the demos and everything like that, not the demo, but the, reveal little gameplay trailers that showed some of the different ways they're mixing up the areas to where it's not just the same thing over and over again. It's not just a platformer. It's variations of different kinds of gameplays in there. And I love that. So that right there, number 5, looking forward to it. Split Fiction. I'm not sure what the exact release date is, but
It's March, and I am
March.
really excited. Spoiler alert: Split Fiction is also on my list, but is a little bit higher than yours, and so I will save my thoughts on that one here shortly.
All right.
So my number
with
5.
That, then what do you have at 5?
Number 5, Avowed. Really, really excited for Avowed. So
Okay, I see that.
I've been following this game since it was first announced. Like I'll never forget the initial trailer where it showed the arrow flying through and hitting the skeleton in the head. And I'm thinking, is this Skyrim? Is this like Elder Scrolls 6? But then I saw the motion of the magic. I'm like, okay, if this is Elder Scrolls 6, then I'm really excited. But when I found out it was not, and it's the same team that did. They did New Vegas.
They did New Vegas and
what's
and
the
Outer Worlds?
Outer Worlds. Thank you.
Yeah, it's Obsidian, isn't it?
Obsidian.
Yeah.
Obsidian. Thank you. I don't know why I couldn't remember that. But once I found out it was them, I even got more excited. And then I followed the game closely. Been a part of the subreddit ever since. Watched. I really enjoyed the actual gameplay footage that it showed recently at the Xbox event back in June. And I'm just really excited for it. It does come out next month. It's coming day 1 to Game Pass. So I'm really excited to give that a shot. I've seeing a lot of people who are now talking about it. They got their hands-on experience with it, and even like everything I've read looks very positive. Do I expect Avowed to be Game of the Year? Probably not. Do I expect it to be a really good RPG? Probably so. So super excited about Avowed, and I
Yeah,
can't wait.
well, I mean, with Obsidian, one of the things you can always look to with their kind of games is they tend to have a lot of replayability.
For sure.
They tend to have a lot of like a long lifespan compared to a lot of other games. I'm honorable mention Outer World Wilds Outer Worlds 2 comes out this year I think as
It
well.
does.
Not
Yeah.
on my list, but another Obsidian game and looking forward to that. And I think Avowed isn't Avowed set in the same world as Pillars
Pillar of
of Eternity.
Eternity. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
So I'm
Same exact
interested
world.
to yeah, I'm interested to get a different kind of look into that world because I know that's a pretty dark one.
It
So
is. It
I'm
is.
hoping if they don't try to like make it too lighthearted or anything, or don't try to smooth the edges out too much, then because it being right in your face in first person is very different than top down. So
For sure.
but
Agree.
yeah, that's a good pick. That's definitely a solid one. Almost made my list, but I think
So what's your number 4 then? If curious.
that's the one that with Split Fiction kind of bumped Avowed off of mine. And this
Respect.
is one that another bit of a peculiar one. This is more personal for me, like just because I enjoyed the original so much, and that is Sinking City 2.
Okay. Yeah. Solid pick.
I don't know if you ever played the first one, but it is, it's a Lovecraftian type game, type world, and it does a great job of capturing the whole kind of vibe that the Lovecraft stories gave off, and not shying away from you know some things like that. Because I mean, let's be real. Lovecraft was a huge racist. There's no
Yeah.
debating it. There's no hiding it up. We all know it. And rather than this game neither tries to hide it nor justifies it, but what parts it does include in there, it simply acknowledges it and treats it as because again, that's the real world, and it mixes that in with like all the prejudice and all that. It mixes that in with this cosmic horrors that are going on, and I mean some of it can be really kind of real creepy and especially if you turn off the lights, play it at night, and just kind of put on your headphones where the sounds are all 3D and stuff, and it can get you a little creeped out sometimes. It's not the scariest game, and I don't think it's really trying to be that, but it's certainly, you know, messes with your mind a little bit. It's certainly very, very creepy and very just like as cosmic horror is meant to be, meant to freak you out at the idea of something just so much larger than you that you can't even comprehend it. And that's
All
what they're
right.
doing in there.
All right.
I don't know where they're going with the next game. I'm not the type. I don't tend to like delve too deep into what games are doing before they come out, simply because I like to be surprised, right? Like people who, I've been looking up everything that's happening with this movie. Apparently, there's going to
That's
be some
me.
scene where this. I don't want any of that. Yeah, I want to be surprised.
Yeah.
But that is my number 4. I'm hoping it lives up to the last one. Hopefully, runs a bit smoother and they get a bit more polished than the last one got. But either way, still super excited about it.
Solid pick. Good job.
All right. What is your number 4?
So this is where my Split Fiction falls. So
Okay.
So Split Fiction, number 4 pick for top 5 most anticipated games, mostly because I am a huge fan of what they did with It Takes Two. So It Takes Two, when it came out, that was my game of the year for that year. I think it was 2023, 2022. I can't remember. But what I do remember is the experience I associate with It Takes Two. So that was one of the games that my wife and we dedicated like 3 weekends in a row, and we spent almost our entire Saturdays playing that game together. It was such a joyous experience. So many great memories were made. Like, we're huge Diablo fans, and so I'll never forget the level where like you're a top down and one of them's a warrior, one of them's a mage. It's just I just love the different aspects and all the different roles that you play, and me playing the husband and her playing the wife. It was just a really awesome experience that just makes it so that when the moment I saw Split Fiction announced, I'm like, yeah, that's it. And I call my wife, I'm like, look what they're doing. Look what they're doing. This is our next game. And so she's on board. Normally I buy all of my games on Steam, but this one I'm definitely getting on Xbox because I do want that true co-op experience. I'm not moving my computer into the living room and all that stuff. But I'm really excited about Split Fiction too. Just to kind of echo what you said, like the idea of like these two writers coming together, getting stuck in their own worlds. One of them being a sci-fi writer, one of them being a fantasy writer. Just that is like a marriage made in heaven, and I just can't wait to experience that with the wife. So
And,
that is my number
and I'll
4.
say, as a bit of a writer myself, that's almost a writer's dream right there, depending on what you're writing.
Yeah, I was about to say not
I
always.
got I got a few stories I wouldn't want to fall into, but I got someone that'll be like, "This is awesome. Let's go.
Yeah,
Let's
for
go."
sure, for sure. All right, all
All
right, all right,
right,
all right, all right. Number threes. I think you let me take the
number
number
three.
3. I want to do my number 3 next because I have a feeling some of ours are going to be in sync. So I'm gonna do my number 3 first. You do your number 4 first, and then I'll do our number 2
I I,
first. You
I
got
already
me?
did number four. I
Oh
did
yeah,
number four.
yeah. Sorry, I meant number 2. So I'll do my number
Okay.
3,
All
and then
right.
your
So you're
3.
gonna do number.
Yep.
All
All
right.
right.
Then we'll
All
switch
right.
off. All right. All right. What is your number three?
Borderlands 4. It has to be. It has to be on here. Like Borderlands is one of my
Hey,
favorite
hey.
games of all time. We know Borderlands
My
4
number
is coming.
three. Borderlands 4.
Hey, look at that. See, look, I'm
Oh,
glad. I'm
you
glad I
already
went
know.
first. I
You
knew this
already
was gonna
know.
happen. All right.
Oh man, ready for it.
Yeah, I
So
can't wait.
ready
I
for
can't wait.
it.
So, like, for those who don't know, we are huge into Borderlands. Like the OG Borderlands was great. We played Borderlands 2, Borderlands 3. I think we have like gotten every unlock with every game. I personally really love Wonderlands. I love Tiny Tina as a character. I think she's hilarious.
Yes.
And
Yes.
kind of going back to what I've said before, I'm that kind of that fantasy nerd. So having that D&D fantasy experience within Borderlands, I was like, oh, it's awesome. I wasn't a big fan of how they rolled out like their expansions. I felt like the content was very lackluster. Like the end
Yeah, that
game was
was
just not
even
great.
the way to reach it was not great.
Yeah, it just
One thing, one criticism I'll give. It's half criticism, half thing I liked about Wonderlands was the adding in there of like melee weapons. I didn't like that it just kind of worked as an upgrade, almost like how grenades could work on certain characters,
yeah, it was strange.
to just the melee strike. I'm hoping that they continue to give us the kind of melee drops, but I wouldn't mind seeing melee weapons added in there like main weapons in number four.
I
But
agree.
other than that, number four, top of the list. Looks like they're gonna tune down some of their cringier, trying to be edgy comedy. Hopefully not too much, because I mean that is part of the charm, part of what makes Borderlands what it is. But number three did go a little too
It was too
like,
much, yeah. Like the whole
yeah, right. It's
content
like whose
creator
dad
streamer
wrote
thing,
this?
like just it was just bad.
Yeah, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it's still they. You can say what you like about the stories or anything like that. Some of them are mixed. The first two are the best, easily, but it gives you what you come to Borderlands for, which is intense action, crazy enemies, and so many freaking guns with so many variations that just no other game does it like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I remember what was that game that they had come out where it was kind of a fantasy game and it was more melee stuff like that. It came out around when the PS5 did. I can't remember what it was called because it came in Godfall or something like that.
Oh, Godfall. So that was not first person
Was it
shooter,
Godfall?
but it was third person
Yeah,
combat.
it was third person,
Okay,
but
I misunderstood you.
it was from
Well,
Gearbox. It was from Gearbox.
it was
Gearbox.
published
I'm
by
pretty sure
Gearbox. I can't remember the team that developed it, but I will say this
Oh,
before we continue: that team was actually shut down this week. So in the past 7 days, they shut. I saw the article that the team behind Godfall was shut down. So that's sad.
it's always sad. But, I
But
mean,
to be fair,
I was hyped for it. I wanted the game when it came out,
I
but
pre-ordered it, I played it, and it just was not a very good game. So I mean, that's just
I
what it
wanted it
is.
to be Borderlands with swords and axes and stuff.
Yeah.
And
It was
not what it
gorgeous.
was,
It was a gorgeous game, but it just felt very repetitive. Like some of the systems didn't make sense. The combat wasn't that great, and so it's just like even like I want to call them warframes because that's really what they remind me of. I can't remember what they were called in Godfall, but basically
doesn't matter now.
yeah, they were basically warframes. But even they were just
Yeah.
not that interesting. So yeah.
Well, that's a sad note for
Sorry to bring
that
the thing
developer.
down. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I feel you, but hey, at least Borderlands 4 is, well, I guess we don't have an exact date, but sometime this year,
it should.
and oh yeah,
I can't
super
wait.
hyped for it.
Can't wait. All right, bro.
All right,
What's your number two?
my number two, and honestly, I'm gonna say the only reason this one is not ranked higher is because it has no exact release date, and it could get pushed in next year, so I couldn't give it the number one spot, but that is going to have to go to Light No Fire.
Oh yeah, well picked. Good pick. Good
Supposed to be
pick.
this year. Oh yeah, and like I said, I'm a sci-fi guy. So No Man's Sky, I played it at launch when it was quote unquote garbage, which I still managed to put in I think about 180 hours when it was trash, and I have played off and on. Specifically when they announce that there's something new coming out, or when they do like their mission things where you unlock special stuff. I do in fact have the SSR Normandy as part of my crew there. Yeah, but love that game, and this is taking all of that and saying, hey, let's take all this and squeeze it all down into just one planet for everybody to take part in, bro. That is just, again, it's different in a way that you don't see too much of that going on these days. Every now and then you get those surprises, but I'm we're old heads here at this point. We got to admit it. And
We are getting
when I
old.
was a younger, yeah, when I was a kid, half the games that came out were like games that you never played anything like it before. There were
Yep.
so many of them that just came like, oh,
Innovation.
who thought of
Yeah.
doing it? Exactly.
You don't
And
get that
now
much anymore. Yeah.
you don't get that much. Everything's kind of a carbon copy with a minor tweak here and there of some other game, and that's kind of where I get bored of them. But this right here looks like, I mean, it's still a survival game, so let's not like blow too much smoke up the back end, right? It still is a survival game from what it seems like at its core, in line with like I guess maybe Ark is something to kind of somewhat compare it to, but it seems like Ark meets No Man's Sky, and that right there,
That's a
that
match made in
is,
heaven.
oh man, we are going. That's when we got to try to make plans to like stream that if we can.
I
Like
will
if we can get a
say
world going and stream that,
I will
that'd be
be
great.
I'll be there day one. It is so Light No Fire is not on my list. I do not think it's coming in 2025. I would be very
Either.
impressed if it came
I
out.
don't
Yeah,
either. That's why I didn't put it at
yeah.
number one.
I
Like,
don't I don't see it happening, but I am with you. Like that is my most anticipated game right now. Period. I'm super looking forward to it. It is No Man's Sky with fantasy setting, and like I think the whole premise behind it is like the map is the size of the Earth, so you don't have multiple planets, but you literally it is an Earth size world, and
and we
so
are the size of, we're
people,
not like
yeah,
and
yeah,
large. Yeah, it's meant to
yeah,
be like an actual representation,
right. So
which
like
means we know
I can't wait.
that every single person on Earth can play, and there's should be technically enough room. See,
Technically, yeah,
it can
but I
fit
don't
us
know a
all.
server that would hold that. To be fair, but yeah, super excited about that. I think it's a wonderful pick, but it's not
All
on
right.
my top five. In fact, you want to know what my number two is?
What is your number two? What's it gonna be?
Ghost of Yotai. Really excited about that. I love Ghost of Tsushima. Hands down, one of my favorite PlayStation games of this generation. So when I saw Ghost of Yotai, I'm like, yeah, that's a day one no matter what. I do not care. Take my money. There's really nothing else for me to say other than if you haven't
It's
played Ghost of Tsushima, highly recommend it. It's a wonderful game set in feudal Japan. The combat is great. The exploration is great. The graphics are great. The story is amazing. There's nothing that I did not like about Ghost of Tsushima, so immediately I'm super ecstatic for Ghost of Yotai. There's a lot of controversy going around about the game just because it stars a female protagonist, but I think that's crazy. I have three daughters. I'm all for empowering females. So
it.
I'm so excited.
The, the people who take part in that do not like video games.
I agree. Yeah.
Like they haven't played games. They don't play them. They never did. Because you know what? Powerful women characters have always been a part of video games. going back to Metroid, going back to Tomb Raider, going back to Heavenly Blade, going
Oh my
back to
gosh, I missed that game.
Jade Empire. Like,
Yep.
let me think about different with Jade Empire. But anyways, the point being is that it's never been a problem.
I agree.
Nobody has ever cared.
Yeah.
The people who are doing that now and doing all that stuff, these are guys who they don't get women.
Yeah.
And so they get angry when they see women.
I think it's more
Like,
along the lines of, this is what I like. I like Jen. I like a male protagonist in this game, and how dare you change that around? But it's called Ghost of Yotei. It's not called Ghost of Tsushima 2, right? So I think,
exactly. It's
I
like,
think Sony was smart with the naming convention, and I cannot be more excited. I hope it stays in the 2025 window. I think it will. Sony's usually pretty good about that.
I think it will, and I think it'll be great. Like, honestly, it looks like even when I finally played the first one, what initially came to my thought was, man, this is like an, a more modern, but in the style of the old school Assassin's Creed games. If they had ever finally given us Japan, which they are now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
admittedly, I'm super skeptical,
Yep.
but I am excited and almost I haven't bought in a day one Assassin's Creed since Unity was the last one I bought day one. I used to buy them all
That
right
was like
away, day
20 years
one.
ago.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because I saw how they were changing things up and stuff like that. Uh, Vindicate, I think it was the Syndicate.
Syndicate, yeah.
Yeah, I did end up getting that one, but not day one. I missed it a little bit, and then I got that one. And after that, I didn't buy another one until they've been out for like a year. I can get the whole Ultimate Pack for like $25.
Yep.
That's how I've been buying Assassin's Creed since then.
I get it.
The new one, I'm tempted to get it, closer
Shadows
to
is looking
launch,
great. Like, it's looking
but
wonderful.
it's looking pretty good to me. But I will say, if it had to be between the two, I'm definitely gonna get Ghost of Yotai first.
Yeah,
Like
for
that
sure.
is, I'm sure they're not gonna release anywhere around each other, so it's not really gonna be competition. But it is the game that Assassin's Creed should have became.
Yeah. See, the
But
the problem with the new Assassin's Creed is it comes out like in the middle, like, of Avowed and of Split Fiction
yeah,
and of our number one pick, which I have a feeling we are aligned on this one.
we are.
I'd
I'm
be
sure
very
we are.
shocked if we're not. So I'll let you
I'm sure we are.
announce what is the most anticipated game for the Improper critics in 2025. What will it be?
Oh, it's just that sweet, sweet, beautiful mayhem that is right around the corner, which we call Monster Hunter Wilds.
Let's go. I knew
Oh,
I
let's
knew we were going to be aligned
go.
on that one, dude. I'm
Let's
so
go.
excited. Oh man, I'm so excited.
So close. So close.
Yep.
Like it's right around the corner. I'm waiting. I think they're doing another. When
There
is that
is.
next beta?
I sent you the screenshot like last week.
I
Yeah.
know. I had it
I'll
somewhere
have
because
to pull it up.
I want to get Josh on there too to get him to check it out because I'm hoping I can get him in there so we get a full group since we lost one of our other buddies who used to play with us a lot. But yeah, that right there. I mean, it is essentially everything that was great about Worlds, but says, hey, let's make it even greater. And I didn't play Rise. I think I started it, but
It was
I don't
great.
know. I just kind of didn't have the time for it.
It's
I've
great.
heard great
Yeah,
things. I
it's
heard like the
wonderful.
verticality of it,
Yeah.
but like a big improvement, and they're bringing a lot of that over into this one, kind of combining the two.
And
Yeah,
that
but that
has
is
me so excited. Just the idea that you
yeah,
get the verticality, you get like the open zone approach to wilds, like you did with worlds. Like if they can marriage worlds with Rise, it will be the perfect Monster Hunter game. I'm really excited. So I just looked it up. So the open beta test 2 is February 6th through 9th, and then again February 13th through 16th. So next week, like next month, we'll get to spend 2 weekends with that game, and then picking it up. I think it comes out on the 28th. That will be my primary game for the next quarter for sure. Like I'm so excited to pour my at least
oh
200
yeah, oh
hours
yeah.
into it
Man, think
easily.
of how long we played Worlds for.
Yeah, way
Like
too
that
long.
was a game, and I am not a long span, like stick to one game person. I hop around games so much. Like I said, I'll play a new game for, a week or two. And then even if it's like still going on, I'm like, okay, well, I'm bored. I'll go back and I'll play some old games just because I need to switch things up. Worlds, we played Worlds for like a year, something
Yeah,
like that, like a long time, like
it
a
was a
long
long
time. I
time.
used to do a little streaming of it here and there as well. Like, yeah, like that Worlds was. It became like, and this is just the kind of game, the detail to it, the preparation, the planning, the execution of it all. Sold,
Yeah, I
sold
can't
easily.
wait. Like I can't wait.
So hype.
I've been I literally already have a spreadsheet going of what weapons I want to do. I'm probably gonna go with a hammer again. Like I'm always a hammer
Yeah.
bro. I love the dynamic of it, but I'm really looking at the great sword. I don't know. I was on vacation during the last beta, so I don't know if there's any new weapons that.
So one thing to consider though, unlike the last time, you are not bound to just one weapon. You can apply multiple weapons. You can apply, I think, two. I don't know if there's any more, but you can have two weapons equipped, and you can hop on your animal thing, switch your weapon out, and then get back right back into the fight.
Now
So
that throws a
you are,
completely
yeah, you
dynamic
are
to
no. It,
different.
it is no
It just blew
longer
my
like
mind.
before.
Oh
Yeah, it
no!
is no longer like before you go in there. You better have that weapon ready. No, because remember you have like your animal
I knew
or whatever
that.
like that.
Yep,
Your
got the
your
mount.
mount,
Yep.
and you can like store stuff there. Like, and I think it's just better to get on him, get moving, to get some distance before you switch. I don't know if you can switch off it in combat. That I'm not sure about, but I know you can have more than one weapon equipped and switch between the two. So
That
yeah,
throws
that
a complete.
is. Oh
Then
yeah,
I'm
I'm pretty
probably
sure I'm
gonna
going
go
longsword and
charge blade.
charge blade. Charge
Charge
blade is
blade.
my baby.
Yeah. So I'll
Hmm.
probably go. If you're doing that, I'll probably go hammer and bow. I think that's a solid. I'll knock them out and we'll finish it together, dude. I'm so excited. I'm so excited
Yo,
about
it's
this
it is
game.
so close, and the
Yeah.
beta's right around the corner.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
yes,
I'll
yes,
put my new
yes.
controller. I'm gonna break it in real fast. So I'm excited about that.
And you're gonna break it all right. We'll see how long that takes.
Temper killing. I'm
Oh, there
pretty
you
sure I did break a dual sense.
man. But
That's not my
that
fault though. Like the launch dual senses were just awful. Like it's not all my fault, but maybe it is. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
all right. But there it is. Those are the top anticipated games of 2025. We actually had three three crossovers in there. Some of them place a little
Two.
bit different, but three crossovers total.
Two. We had oh no, three. Yeah, Borderlands. I
Split
forgot
Fiction,
Borderlands. Yep.
Borderlands 4,
And Monster
and
Hunter.
Monster Hunter Wilds.
That's pretty
Nice,
good. I think it's a
nice.
solid pick, man.
And honorable mention I got to put out there. This one is even more just around the corner, and that is Civilization 7. If you know, you know. That will be. Oh, the worst part about that one is that I will have to fight my wife for the computer because once it's on there, it's gonna be as hard to get her off of there as it is me off of there.
I just could not
But
get into Civilization 6. Like I tried it so bad. Like, I got all the DLC. It's just not my cup of tea. But I grew up on StarCraft. So like when I think real-time strategy, I think real, I don't want to
well, it's not real time
it's not
strategy; it's
yeah.
turn-based strategy.
Yeah, I prefer real-time strategy to turn-based strategy. I just feel like that's just who I am. Yeah, give me
Let me
StarCraft
know.
or Warcraft.
I'll download it again. Let me know. We'll get on here. We'll do a little online game there. I'm telling you, you're missing out because it's all right there. Because you don't. I know you're not always like stuck in the action. You play
I play
JRPGs and
everything.
stuff like that.
Yeah, I play
You're not.
everything.
You're down with a bit more strategy focused, like not less moment to moment. I think if you figure out like how everything really works and like how you can build it up, because that's what it is. It's kind of putting in your time, building things up, and later on, once you see like you have. I'm telling you, I when I play, I turn off every other victory option except for domination because it's like I don't care if you go into space. Why does that somehow beat out my civilization?
Yeah,
So
I get that.
the only option to like win is domination. And
Like,
by the end of the game, I have nearly every ocean tile filled with nuclear submarines. Like when I say it's done, it's just done. I'm just wiping everyone else off the map. It's crazy, but
maybe I just didn't give it a fair shot. Maybe I just need. I mean, it is overwhelming. It is a lot there, especially
oh
coming
yeah,
into it after all the
oh yeah.
DLC's already been published. So maybe we'll sync up and see if you can show me the way.
Maybe, but I think that's everything. Do you know what's our time at right now? What are we pushing here?
We're good. Yeah, we're 1 hour and 15 minutes. So I think that's a perfect time to close. We got a lot of good topics for our next
That's
show.
good.
So for those that don't know, and for those that are still with us, we're going to try to be on a 2-week cadence. So every other Sunday we're going to record. Hopefully have it to you guys by Monday. And so we
Fortunately,
got
this one went pretty smooth. I didn't have to. I don't have to go back and bleep out my foul
your
mouth
potty mouth.
at all
Yeah,
this time.
yeah.
I don't think I slipped up at all. I think I did good.
You did
Look,
good, man.
pat on the
I'm
back,
proud
pat on
of
the
you,
back.
Adam. I'm proud of
He
you.
knows it is not easy for me to watch my mouth.
Those who know. So, yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think that's exciting. I mean, I can probably just go ahead and publish it and upload it today. Like, there's really no editing. That's how awesome we were. So that's always a good thing.
All right. Well, again, thank everybody for checking us out. Again, we're
Truly, thank you.
trying to see what we can do here. We want to do more and more, and we want to, engage people. So let us know if you agree, disagree, or if you have your own list down below. Make sure to like and subscribe. And that's pretty much us. That's pretty much it for us here at the Improper Critics.
Yeah,
See
let
you all
let make sure y'all
next
let Adam know that my 2024 list was way better than his. I mean, there's no contest. I mean,
You didn't
TC
even have Animal Crossing or
TCG
Squirrel with a gun. You didn't
TCG.
have Squirrel with a gun. That's a fail. That's it. You lost.
Well, you just said Animal Crossing, and I think you meant Animal Well, so I win by default. Got him. All right, folks.
Play Animal Crossing. Where did that come from?
I know. Thanks,
All right, y'all,
everybody.
Let's get out of here before the foul language starts slipping
Yeah,
out.
we'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.